So we are connected to third part of our life surgery. This is the PCL reconstruction. They are ready at the OT. The graft has been harvested. So may I request Dr. Santosh Shaganand and Dr. Clement Joseph is here. Yeah, Dr. Santosh Shaganand to moderate this session. This is about the case details. This is a 52 years old male. The RTA 2.5 months back. Severe pain and instability. And those X-rays. And we've got an MRI done. It shows a ACL injury. This is a gait. And he has got a posterior sag with a positive posterior drawer. The other side, right side, you can see a positive latchman. There's a positive quadriceps test. Yeah. And you get a positive posterior sag as well on the meniscal and chondral injuries. So I may request Professor Kosal Raman and Chittaranjan Sagu to moderate this session. Is here? Well, the first topic is by Dr. Raghunandan. This is the chondral injury current concept video demonstration of the BMAC.
So, good afternoon, everybody. And that was a beautiful demonstration of PCL reconstruction. And I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to speak about the current concepts in the cartilage damage in front of you. So, cartilage defect management is the hot and boiling topic for the last few years among the orthopedic surgeon. So, we quite often see various patients with various sizes of defect of the cartilage. And hence it is very important to update ourselves how to manage a patient with the cartilage defect when you come across. So before going to in detail the basics, it's made of the hyaline cartilage is the predominant cartilage, and the chondrocytes are resting chondrocytes, I would say, unlike the osteocytes, which are very active, which are found in the lacunae in the extracellular matrix, and it's about type 90 to 95% is the type 2 cartilage. And in osteoarthritis, it's not only a change in the cartilage, it's a dynamic phenomenon which is happening in all the tissues of the joint, namely the cartilage, synovial tissue, and the subchondral bone. So far how people were managing a cartilage injury. So general orthopedic surgeons tend to ignore, or they do not know, or they fail to detect the cartilage damage at the early stage, and unfortunately these patients undergo early OA, and hence it's important to recognize now. And surgeons who have been very interested in sports injuries and cartilage damage been managing with a few techniques. The gold standard, which was introduced about 2 decades back by the Swedish and American surgeons, is the microfracture. But unfortunately, with microfracture only, it leads to development of fibrocartilage, which is not an ideal cartilage for the long run, and also for bigger lesions, which tend to fail at about 2 to 3 years' time. And mosaic-plasty has also been introduced about 10 to 15 years back, which is useful for a small lesion and mainly osteochondral injury. So pure cartilage damage, mosaic-plasty may be too big a kill. And ACI also been favored treatment for cartilage damage, introduced about 10 to 15 years back, and Bentley and Bland were the pioneers. But the problem with the ACI, though it has given very good and excellent results in the midterm follow-up, is it's a 2-stage procedure, and it involves time and more cost as well. And also sometimes, because the chondrocytes are cultured in the lab, may lead to de-differentiation of the chondrocytes when compared to chondrocytes in vivo inside the joint. So that may lead to poor outcome in few patients. And hence, what is new, how to overcome all these limitations of the traditional treatments, we have started utilizing the power of the mesenchymal stem cells, and it can differentiate into a specific lineage based on the location, environment, and the stimulus. And also, it not only differentiate into chondrocyte, but also it has got important paracrine effect. That means it got a good influence on the surrounding structures to heal itself and to promote a new cartilage. By down-regulating the inflammatory cytokines and increasing the anti-inflammatory cytokines. What are the sources? Various sources have been utilized, like bone marrow, adipose tissue, even from peripheral blood cells and from synovial tissue. The only limitation from the peripheral blood cells and synovial tissue, they have very few numbers, so you have to expand in the lab to get more number of mesenchymal stem cells. Whereas from the adipose and the bone marrow, it's readily available in good number, so it can be utilized in the theater itself rather than in vitro expansion. So most commonly harvested source is bone marrow, and about only 0.01% of the bone marrow aspirate has got mesenchymal stem cells, and hence we have to concentrate to get adequate numbers of mesenchymal stem cells. So, and also various studies have shown that there is a direct correlation of the outcome and the number of mesenchymal stem cells in the injection or the BMAC. How do you do? So we can do a percutaneous technique where a dedicated bone marrow needles are available, like Jamshidi needle. You can, where various companies give these needles along with their kit. So you prepare the iliac crest and aspirate about 40 to 60 ml as per the prescription given by the company. And the bone marrow aspirate is centrifuged in special device to obtain about 3-4 ml of bone marrow aspiration. And how do you apply? So it can be applied either completely by arthroscopy or by mini arthrotomy. So when you're doing an arthroscopy, you have to do a dry arthroscopy either with the air or CO2 so that you have a clear view, and then you completely dry the cartilage defect area, and then you can inject the BMAC. The BMAC is like a watery substance, so once you inject, it might just fall into the joint. So you ideally inject by mixing with a fibrin gel, which is a combination of fibrinogen and thrombin. So once you apply the BMAC with this gel, it immediately solidifies and sticks nicely onto the cartilage defect area and doesn't spill into the joint. So what is the outcome? How the BMAC has fared in the last few years? It's been encouraging and promising. You can see in the graph that only in the last couple of years, more and more papers have been published about the outcome of bone marrow. Before that, only occasional and anecdotal evidences were there. And also the outcome of BMAC has been very much improved when you combine with the scaffold. So isolated BMAC alone is only giving a moderate to good results, but when you combine with scaffolds, it gives excellent results. And you also come across people saying about stem cell injection into osteoarthritic joint rather than implanting just a blind injection. It is encouraging in the early stage of arthritis, grade 2 to grade 3, but not in the grade 4 osteoarthritis, on the contrary of claim. This is a classical paper by Kim published in 2014. You can see the yellow line, which is a grade 4, which is not performing very well after 6 months or 12 months, both all in terms of IKDC scores and other functional scores. Now the new horizons are coming up, which include the biological scaffolds with or without BMAC, the bone marrow aspirate concentration. So how the scaffold has come into place? In Western countries, the MACI and AC, because of the 2-stage procedures, 2 surgeries, it has been very expensive and time consuming, and hence there was a need to cut short the time as well as the finance, and which led to the development of the scaffold. Bahrain were the first to introduce the scaffold in 2006, and the advantages of scaffold is it can be available off the shelf, it can be trimmed to any size, it involves one surgery, relatively less expensive. How does it work? It utilizes the mesenchymal stem cells which you get after the microfracture from the subchondral functioning unit of the bone, which traps all the stem cells inside the defect, not allowing them to spill into the joint. That's how the scaffolds work. Either you can also augment with the BMAC to improve the outcome. So Steadman introduced in 1980, and the results were published in 1997, which was the first paper. So how an ideal scaffold should be? It should be bioactive. It should not be inert. It should be biomimetic and biodegradable, bioresponsive, and also it should give some signals to the surrounding area to stimulate the cartilage healing. And at the same time, it should be porous enough for allow the bloods to come and seepage into the structure. There are natural and synthetic scaffolds. To go a few properties about the scaffolds, biomimetism, it should be both chemically and structurally biomimetic to the surrounding cartilage structure. Should be highly porous so that the mesenchymal stem cells from the subchondral unit will permeate into the scaffold in a different gradient of concentration. It should completely degrade. It should not leave any residual material which may lead to synovitis, inflammation, and again damage to the newly growing cartilage. It should be flexible and conformable to follow the curvature of the femoral condyle. It should be hydrophilic so that it can imbibe all the good fluid from the bone marrow as well as the BMAC which you are going to use it. And this is the histological picture of a healed scaffold, and after some time you can see the graded layers of the almost like a normal cartilage. Technique, either you can use it with the dedicated instruments by arthroscopy, or you can very well use it by mini arthrotomy. A good preparation of the defect with well-defined and contained margins is very important. You do the microfracture in a prescribed way and the standard way, and optionally you can also use the BMAC to fill the scaffold, and the scaffold is again applied with the fibrin glue. We have a few cases with our personal experience. These are two pictures. One is the femoral condyle of a 54 lady who didn't have any malalignment. It's a focal cartilage defect. And the bottom one is the patellar defect following a patellar dislocation in a young gentleman. So the defects are prepared to the stable margin, and microfracture has been done. And I have done this with a mini arthrotomy technique. Once that is done, the scaffold is prepared and is applied with the fibrin glue stuck to the cartilage defect. For the patellar dislocation case, I have reconstructed the MPFL with the Gracilis graft. So additional procedures have to be considered, particularly when you have a malalignment. You should not ignore the malalignment and do the cartilage regeneration technique, otherwise it's going to fail miserably. So you have to do like high TB osteotomy to correct the varus malalignment. You have to reconstruct the ligament like ACL and PCL, and sometimes you may have to use offloading braces to protect the growing cartilage. So to go through about few papers which shows the outcome, scaffold versus microfracture. The scaffolds outperform microfracture in the midterm follow-up, and various papers of supporting this outcome. And now they have introducing the osteochondral scaffold, which is meant for osteochondral defect and with bony injuries as well. So one of them which I have used is the myoregen, which has got a three-dimensional structure, mimicking the different layers of the cartilage as well as the subchondral bone. And it's been extensively studied by Markachi and have shown a good short-term to mid-term results. And there was one paper which has given bad results in terms of MRI finding, but functionally it has been performing very well even up to 5 years. So the most of the papers which have been published recently is a combination of scaffold and BMAC combination. So Gobi, Krish, and Skowronski, they have published mid-term results which are very good, and when you combine the scaffold with BMAC, even the MRI pictures are almost resembling the hyaline cartilage. So that is what we have to have in your mind. So to conclude, scaffolds implanted with BMAC are comparable to chondrocyte-based two-stage surgical procedure, but it involves very less cost and one-step approach as shown by various authors. And it is available off the shelf. It can trim and match the defect, and you can use it for multiple lesions as well. Even in the early osteoarthritis and with a focal defect, it has been proved to be working very well. And correction of deformity is very important before you do the cartilage regeneration technique. So however, in the osteochondral defects, it shows a slow maturation, so you have to wait for longer time to show very good result. And also we need to have long-term results and from different authors. So far the papers are only from the Europe, not from the Asian countries. So until we get all the regional papers supporting the BMAC, it should be still used very conservatively. And until then, regardless of the source, whether it's from mesenchymal stem, from bone marrow or fat or synovial tissue, the scaffold with the MSCs play a major role in the traumatic full thickness tear, OCDs in young people, and contained degenerative lesions in younger persons, and only in the grade 2 to grade 3 osteoarthritic patients. Thank you. Yeah, the hyaluronic acid is mostly lubricant effect, and also it is known to enhance the natural secretion of the synovium, synovial fluid from the synovial tissue. But it can improve the outcome of the BMAC or the PRP injection when you club these two injections. But on its own, it is, there are a few papers which they claim that the MRI pictures after 1 or 2 years of the injection is okay. But they are all the good, works very well only in the very early stage, like grade 1 and grade 2 OA. When you cross the grade to 3 and 4, this synovial fluid supplementation, they are okay for the functional outcome for a very short-term period. In regards to PRP, probably when you have a grade 1 or grade 2 cartilage damage, not like 3 or 4 where you reach the subchondral bone, the PRP can limit the further damage, by making a less anti-inflammatory and pro-healing PRP.
Thank you, Dr. Raghunandan, on his talk on BMAC. Now I request Dr. Chindaranjan to honor Dr.
I
Raghunandan.
forgot to show the video. So this is a BMAC with a fibrin gel implantation. So this is a 36-year-old lady who came with a focal cartilage defect, and you can see the arthroscopy showing the assessment of the medial femoral condyle. The whole medial femoral condyle looks healthy except for this area of about maybe 2 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So the BMAC procedure is done by aspiration from the iliac crest by percutaneous technique. Sometimes it's easy to get, sometimes you may have to patiently wait for the syringes to get filled. And also it is advised to pass 3 to 4 times in a different plane and different depth, so that you get more of stem cells. If you keep on pulling the syringe in one area, ultimately you may have only the blood, not the bone marrow. So you may have to pass 3 to 4 times. So once that is ready, you do a dry arthroscope. You make the cartilage defect bone dry by using a small gauze tipped instrument. Then you can inject the prepared BMAC, the fibrin gel, onto the defect until it solidifies. Then you make a gentle range of movement exercise, and that should be completing the procedure.